I never thought my sister's dream of having a baby would lead to the biggest betrayal of our lives. But that's exactly what happened when I tried to help make her wish come true. My name is June, and family means everything to me. After losing our parents in a car accident 5 years ago, my sister Caitlin became my whole world. So when she confided in me about her struggles with infertility over coffee one morning, I knew I had to help. The doctors say IVF is our best shot, Caitlin said, stirring her latte absently. But the cost? She trailed off, blinking back tears. I reached across the table and squeezed her hand. Let me help. I've been saving up, and this is what family's for. Her eyes widened. June, no, that's too much. Thomas and I need to do this on our own. Katie, please, you're my little sister. Let me do this for you. She pulled her hand away, her jaw set stubbornly. Money can't guarantee happiness, June. You can't fix everything by throwing money at it. Her words stung more than they should have. I'm not trying to fix anything. I just want to help. Well, don't. She stood up abruptly, gathering her purse. This is between me and Thomas. Stay out of it. I watched her storm out of the cafe, fighting back my own tears. That was 2 weeks ago. Then yesterday, Thomas showed up at my office unannounced. June, I need to talk to you, he said, flashing that charming smile that had won my sister over 3 years ago. About the IVF, I gestured for him to sit. Katie made it clear she doesn't want my help. That's just her pride talking. He leaned forward, lowering his voice. Look, she's been researching clinics. She wants this so badly, but she's too stubborn to accept help. Thomas, I can't go behind her back. It wouldn't be like that. We'd tell her after everything's arranged. Make it a surprise. His eyes lit up. Imagine her face when she realizes her dream can come true. I shifted uncomfortably in my chair. I don't know. June, you're always saying family comes first. This could give Katie everything she wants. A baby, a family of her own. He pulled out some paperwork. I've already found the perfect clinic. They have amazing success rates. I studied the brochures, my resolve weakening. She'll be angry. At first, maybe, but when she's holding her baby, she'll thank you. He smiled again. This is your chance to be the big sister you've always wanted to be. The check felt heavy in my hand as I wrote it out. $50,000, my entire savings, meant for a down payment on a house. But family comes first, right? I'll transfer it to the clinic first thing tomorrow, Thomas said, carefully folding the check into his wallet. Katie will be so happy once she understands. As he left, a nagging doubt gnawed at my stomach. Something felt off, but I pushed the feeling aside. This was for Caitlin, for her dream of becoming a mother. That evening, I called my cousin Michaela. You did what? She exclaimed when I told her. June, that doesn't sound right. Why wouldn't Thomas want to tell Katie now? He says she'd refuse if she knew. Exactly, because it's her body, her choice. This feels sketchy. I sank onto my couch, the doubt growing stronger. But he showed me all the clinic information. Did you verify any of it? Call the clinic yourself. I hadn't. The realization hit me like a punch to the gut. Promise me you'll call them tomorrow, Michaela insisted. Just to be sure everything's legitimate. I will, I promised. But my hands were already shaking as I pulled up my banking app. The check had already been cashed. How was that possible? Banks weren't even open this late. My phone buzzed with a text from Caitlin. Can you come over? Something's wrong. Thomas isn't answering his phone. As I grabbed my keys, my heart pounding, I realized I might have made a terrible mistake. One that could cost me not just my savings, but something far more precious. My sister's trust. Family means everything to me. But what happens when trying to help your family leads to their destruction instead? I broke every speed limit getting to Caitlin's house. The porch light was on, but the rest of the house was dark. When she opened the door, her face was streaked with mascara, and her hands wouldn't stop shaking. He's gone, she choked out, collapsing into my arms. Thomas cleaned out our accounts and left. I guided her to the couch, my own hands trembling now. What do you mean, cleaned out? Everything. She grabbed her phone, pulling up her banking app. Our savings, checking, even my personal account. All of it June. Over $70,000. My stomach lurched. 70,000 plus my 50,000. The magnitude of what Thomas had done hit me like a tidal wave. When did you notice? I asked, trying to keep my voice steady. An hour ago. I tried to order takeout, and my card was declined. She wiped her eyes with her sleeve. I thought it was a mistake, but then I checked online and fresh tears spilled down her cheeks. I found emails. He's been seeing someone else. For months. I pulled her closer, my guilt threatening to choke me. Katie, there's something I need to tell you. What? Thomas came to see me yesterday. He asked for money for your IVF treatment. He said it was going to be a surprise for you. She stiffened in my arms. What? I gave him $50,000. Caitlin jerked away from me as if I'd burned her. You what? He showed me brochures from the clinic. He seemed so sincere about wanting to help you. After I specifically told you I didn't want your money. Her voice rose with each word. You went behind my back? I'm so sorry. You thought you knew better than me. Again. She stood up, pacing the room. God, June, when will you learn to stop interfering in my life? My phone buzzed. A text from Michaela. Did you check on that clinic? Caitlin noticed my expression change. What is it? Michaela warned me something felt off. She told me to verify the clinic information. Well? Caitlin demanded. Did you? I shook my head, shame burning my cheeks. The check was cashed before I could. Unbelievable. She laughed bitterly. So not only did my husband steal from me and cheat on me, but my own sister helped him do it. That's not fair. Fair? She whirled on me. You want to talk about fair? I told you no. I told you this was between me and Thomas. But you couldn't help yourself, could you? You always have to be the hero, the fixer, the perfect big sister. Her words cut deep, but I deserved them. You're right. I should have respected your wishes. But right now, we need to focus on finding Thomas. We. She arched an eyebrow. There is no we, June. You've done enough. My phone buzzed again. This time it was a news alert. Local businessman, Thomas Ross, spotted boarding flight to Cancun with unidentified woman. I wordlessly showed Caitlin the screen. She sank back onto the couch, all fight draining from her face. I trusted him, she whispered. I loved him. I know. I sat beside her, careful to maintain distance. But we can't let him get away with this, not just for us, but for anyone else he might try to scam. She was quiet for a long moment. That woman he's with, what if she's just another victim? What if he's planning to do the same thing to her? Then we stop him. I pulled up Michaela's number. Our cousin knows a private investigator, someone who specializes in cases like this. Cases of stupid women trusting lying men. Cases of fraud and theft. I hesitated before adding, will you let me help? Really help this time, not just throw money at the problem. Caitlin wiped her eyes again, straightening her shoulders. On one condition. Anything. No more secrets. No more going behind my back. We do this together, or not at all. I nodded, relief flooding through me. Together. As I dialed Michaela's number, Caitlin's hand found mine, and squeezed. We had a long way to go to rebuild our trust. But at least it was a start. Thomas had underestimated one crucial thing when he decided to con us both. Nothing is stronger than sisters united in revenge. Michaela arrived at Caitlin's house within 30 minutes, armed with her laptop and a determined expression. She'd always been the practical one in our family, the problem solver who kept a cool head in crisis. First things first, she said, setting up her computer on the kitchen table. We need to document everything. Bank statements, emails, text messages, anything that shows Thomas's deception. Caitlin pulled out her phone. I saved screenshots of the emails I found. They're pretty explicit, her voice cracked. You don't have to read them again, I assured her. Just forward them to Michaela. Actually, you should read them. Michaela countered gently. There might be clues about where he's going or who he's with. As Caitlin scrolled through the emails, her face hardened. Wait, this one's different. She turned the phone so we could see. He mentioned something about an investment opportunity in Mexico, said he needed to secure funding quickly. Michaela's fingers flew across her keyboard. That tracks with what I found. I have a friend at the bank, don't ask, who says Thomas made several large wire transfers to an account in Cancun over the past month. Before he even asked me for money, I realized this wasn't spontaneous. He planned it. There's more, Michaela said. The woman he's with, her name is Rachel. She's posted several photos with Thomas on Instagram over the last few months, but they're tagged with a different name for him. What? Caitlin leaned over Michaela's shoulder. James Turner, that's not, oh God. She pressed a hand to her mouth. I think I'm going to be sick. I guided her to the bathroom, holding her hair back as she retched. When she finished, she looked up at me with red-rimmed eyes. How could I be so stupid? Hey, he fooled me too, I reminded her. And I'm supposed to be the careful one. A knock at the front door made us both jump. Michaela's voice called out, It's just Seth, the PI I told you about. Seth turned out to be a tall, serious-looking man with kind eyes. He listened intently as we explained the situation, taking notes on a small pad. Classic romance scammer pattern, he said when we finished. But he made some mistakes, using the same photos with different names, sloppy, and those wire transfers leave a clear trail. Can you find him? Caitlin asked. Already have. Seth showed us his tablet. Your husband checked into the Grand Plaza Hotel in Cancun 3 hours ago. Under the name James Turner, naturally. What do we do now? I asked. Now, Seth said, we build a case. Mexican authorities take fraud seriously, especially when it involves international wire transfers. But we need to move fast. Michaela raised her hand like we were back in school. I have an idea. My friend Marin, she's a lawyer who specializes in fraud cases. She could help us navigate the legal aspects. Call her, Caitlin said firmly. Then she turned to me. June, I need to ask you something. Anything. Did you mean what you said about doing this together? Of course. Then I need you to promise me something. When we find Thomas, and we will find him, I get to confront him first. Not you trying to protect me, not Michaela with her connections, not Seth with his evidence. Me. I hesitated, my protective instincts warring with respect for her wishes. She's right, Seth interjected. The strongest cases are built on direct testimony from primary victims, and from what I've seen, your sister is stronger than anyone gives her credit for. Caitlin's chin lifted at his words. For the first time since this nightmare began, I saw a glimpse of the fierce, independent woman who'd always pushed back against my overprotectiveness. Okay, I agreed. But we do this smart. No rushing off to Cancun, half-cocked. Agreed. Caitlin managed a small smile. Besides, I want him to see me coming. I want him to know exactly who brought him down. Michaela's phone buzzed. Marin can see us tomorrow morning at 9. She says to bring every scrap of evidence we have. As we gathered around the table, sorting through documents and building our case, I watched my sister transform. With each email she analyzed, each bank statement she reviewed, her shoulders straightened a little more. The betrayed wife became a warrior, channeling her pain into purpose. You know what the worst part is? She said suddenly. He didn't just steal our money. He stole my dream of having a family. I reached for her hand. No, he didn't. That dream is still yours. And when this is over, we'll find a way to make it happen. The right way this time. She squeezed my hand back, and I knew we'd turned a corner. Thomas thought he could break us, but he'd only made us stronger. Tomorrow we'd start bringing him to justice. Tonight, we were rebuilding something he could never steal. Our bond as sisters. Marin's office smelled like coffee and determination. She listened intently as we laid out our evidence on her polished mahogany desk, occasionally nodding or making notes. This is actually better than most cases I see, she said, examining Thomas's bank transfers. He left a clear paper trail. Overconfident criminals usually do. But can we get the money back? Caitlin asked, perched on the edge of her chair. That's where it gets complicated. Marin leaned forward. Seth, what have you found about his current activities? Seth pulled up several photos on his tablet. He's definitely following a pattern. Rachel isn't his only other target. I've identified 3 more women in the Cancun area he's been communicating with, using different aliases. Show me, Caitlin demanded. The photos revealed Thomas, or James, or whatever he was calling himself, dining with different women at upscale restaurants. The latest photos are from last night, Seth continued. He's meeting with a woman named Maria tonight at the hotel's rooftop bar. She's a local business owner, wealthy. His next mark, I said, feeling sick. Marin tapped her pen against her desk. This changes things. We're not just dealing with theft anymore. This is an ongoing criminal enterprise. What does that mean for us? I asked. It means we can involve international authorities. Wire fraud across borders is serious business. She picked up her phone. I have contacts in the Mexican Federal Police. If we can prove he's actively scamming multiple victims, we need to warn Maria, Caitlin interrupted. We can't let him do this to anyone else. Seth nodded. I can get a message to her, but we need to be careful not to spook Thomas. If he realizes we're on to him, he'll run, Michaela finished, and probably take what's left of the money with him. Exactly. Marin started typing on her computer. I'm drafting emergency injunctions to freeze his known accounts, but we need to move fast. My phone buzzed with a notification. Oh my God. What is it? Caitlin asked. I showed her the screen. A dating app notification. There was Thomas's profile, under yet another name, right in our home city. He's been running this scam here too, I realized. All those business trips he took. Send me that, Seth said sharply. Dating app records can be subpoenaed. If we can prove he was operating the scam before leaving the country, it strengthens our case for international cooperation. Marin finished. June, Caitlin, I need you both to make official statements. Every detail you can remember about his behavior, his requests for money, everything. For the next 2 hours, we relived every moment of Thomas's deception. Each lie, each manipulation, each false promise. Caitlin's hands shook as she described finding the emails, but her voice stayed strong. Wait, Michaela said suddenly, looking up from her laptop. I think I found something. Rachel's posted a new photo. She's tagged her location at a wedding chapel. We all crowded around her screen. There was Thomas, in a suit, standing next to Rachel, outside a gaudy Cancun chapel. He's going to marry her, Caitlin whispered. Just like he married me. It's the same scam. Not this time, Marin said firmly. She picked up her phone again. This is attempted bigamy. That's another criminal charge we can add to the list. Seth's tablet pinged. Maria confirmed she'll meet us instead of Thomas tonight. She's bringing financial records of her own. Apparently, he already convinced her to transfer some funds to a joint business venture. How much? I asked. $100,000. Caitlin stood up abruptly. Book me on the next flight to Cancun. Katie, I started. No, June. You promised I could confront him. Well, I want to do it before he ruins another woman's life. She turned to Marin. What do you need from me to make this happen legally? Marin smiled, the first real smile I'd seen from her. I thought you might say that. I've already prepared the paperwork. Seth can accompany you as a licensed investigator, and I've arranged for local law enforcement to be standing by. I'm coming too, I said. Caitlin shook her head. No, I need you here. Someone has to coordinate with Marin and keep tracking his other victims. Besides, she added with a grim smile, it's time I fought my own battles. Looking at her then, straight-backed, clear-eyed, ready for war, I finally saw what everyone else had been trying to tell me. My little sister didn't need my protection anymore. She needed my support. Okay, I agreed. But promise me one thing. What? Make him regret ever underestimating you. She picked up her purse, determination radiating from every movement. Oh, don't worry. By the time I'm done, Thomas won't dare scam another woman ever again. The next 24 hours were a blur of activity. While Caitlin and Seth flew to Cancun, Michaela and I worked with Marin to uncover the full scope of Thomas's deception. Another one, Michaela called out, scrolling through social media. Amanda from Phoenix, he used the name Michael with her, promised to help fund her startup. I added the information to our growing spreadsheet. How much? 40,000. She posted about it in a scam support group. My phone lit up with a text from Caitlin. Landed safely. Meeting Maria in an hour. Seth says Thomas is still at the hotel. Tell her to be careful, Michaela said, reading over my shoulder. She knows what she's doing. The words felt strange in my mouth, but true. How many victims are we up to now? 8 confirmed, including Caitlin. 3 more possibles. Michaela rubbed her eyes. He had a system. Target successful women, preferably ones who wanted something specific. A baby, a business, a fresh start. Gain their trust, then ask for an investment or loan. Marin walked in, carrying fresh coffee. The DA's office is very interested, especially after I showed them the pattern of wire transfers. My phone buzzed again. A photo from Seth this time. Thomas at the hotel bar, laughing with a woman I assumed was Maria. My blood boiled. He looks so normal, I said. Like he's not destroying lives. That's what makes men like him dangerous, Marin replied. They're charming, plausible, and completely without conscience. Another text from Caitlin. Maria is amazing. She recorded everything. Thomas promised her 300% returns on her investment by next month. Got it, Michaela exclaimed suddenly. Rachel just posted again. She's furious. Apparently Thomas disappeared with her credit cards while she was getting her hair done for the wedding. I couldn't help but laugh. He's scamming his own accomplice. She might not be an accomplice, Marin pointed out. Could be another victim who just got taken for more than the others. My phone rang. Caitlin. June, it's happening. Now. Her voice was steady but tense. Thomas just walked into the trap. I put the phone on speaker as Caitlin described the scene unfolding at the hotel bar. Maria had agreed to wear a wire, meeting Thomas, while Caitlin and Seth waited with local police. He's showing her the fake investment documents. Caitlin narrated quietly. The same ones he used on me. Same promises, different numbers. We could hear Thomas's voice in the background, smooth and confident. This opportunity won't last long. I can only hold your spot in the investment pool until tomorrow. Now, Caitlin whispered. Then louder, hello, Thomas. The silence that followed was deafening. Caitlin, Thomas stammered. What are you? Surprised to see me, or should I call you James? Michael, how many names are you using these days? This isn't what it looks like. Really. Because it looks like you're about to scam another woman, just like you scammed me, and June, and Rachel, and Amanda, and all the others. Others? Maria's voice cut in, sharp with anger. What others? Show him, Seth's voice commanded. We could hear rustling papers, then Thomas's sharp intake of breath. Bank transfers, Caitlin continued. Dating profiles, social media posts, everything, Thomas. We have everything. The police are here, Seth added. Both local and federal. Wire fraud across international borders is a serious offense. You can't prove anything, Thomas said. But his voice had lost its smoothness. Actually, we can. Maria's voice now, cold as ice. I recorded everything you promised me, just like the other women did. It's over, Caitlin said. The accounts are frozen. Rachel's talking to the police about the bigamy attempt. Your victims are coming forward. Through the phone, we heard the distinctive sound of handcuffs clicking. You have the right to remain silent, a heavily accented voice began. Wait, Thomas pleaded. Caitlin, please, we can work this out. I'll pay everything back, like you promised all the other women. Caitlin's voice was steel. No more promises, Thomas. No more lies. Just consequences. The call ended, and the office erupted in cheers. Michaela hugged me, both of us crying and laughing. "She did it," I whispered. "She really did it." Marin was already on her office phone, coordinating with authorities. They'll hold him for extradition. In the meantime, we can start recovery proceedings for the victims. My phone buzzed one final time. A message from Caitlin. It felt good, June. Really good. For the first time since this started, I feel like myself again. I smiled through my tears as I typed back, "I'm so proud of you, little sister." Because I was. Prouder than I'd ever been of anything in my life. The media circus hit before Caitlin even made it back from Cancun. Local news stations camped outside my apartment, hungry for details about the romance racketeer, as they'd dubbed Thomas. "Another victim has come forward," Michaela announced, hanging up her phone. "A woman in Seattle. He promised to help fund her daughter's medical treatment." "That's 9 confirmed victims now," Marin said, updating her files. "The DA is pushing for maximum sentences on all charges." My phone lit up with a text from Caitlin. "Landing in 30 minutes. There are reporters everywhere. I'll pick you up," I replied. Back entrance of the airport. The drive to the airport was tense. News vans followed us until I lost them by weaving through side streets. When I finally spotted Caitlin and Seth at the pickup area, they both looked exhausted but triumphant. "You won't believe what happened after the arrest," Caitlin said as she slid into the passenger seat. "Rachel showed up at the police station." "Thomas's almost bride?" I asked, pulling away from the curb. "She brought everything," Seth added from the back seat. "Account numbers, text messages, even recordings of Thomas bragging about his other scams. She was wearing a wire for the last 3 days. Turns out she's an investigative journalist," Caitlin explained. "She caught wind of Thomas's scams and got close to him on purpose. She's been building a story for months." I nearly missed a turn. "Are you serious?" "She wants to interview all of us," Caitlin continued. "She thinks sharing our stories might help other women avoid similar scams." "Speaking of stories," Seth interrupted, checking his phone. "You might want to see this." He passed his phone forward. A news website was running a headline. "Romance Scammers Victims Unite. Sisters Lead Charge Against International Fraudster." "It's gone viral," Seth said. "Women are sharing their own stories of romance scams in the comments. Thousands of them." Caitlin read through some comments. "These are heartbreaking. So many people lost everything to men, like Thomas." "That's why we need to speak out," I said, pulling into my apartment's parking garage. "Show them they're not alone, that they can fight back." Upstairs, Michaela and Marin were waiting with takeout and updates. The legal wheels were turning faster than expected, thanks to the mountain of evidence and Rachel's undercover work. "The DA wants to meet tomorrow," Marin said, between bites of pad thai. "They're offering a deal to Thomas, reduced sentences, if he helps identify other scammers in his network." "Has he taken it?" Caitlin asked. "Not yet. But Rachel recorded him mentioning partners in 3 countries. He's not working alone." "Of course he's not," Seth added. "These operations are usually connected. One scammer teaches another, shares techniques, victim profiles. Then we take them all down," Caitlin declared. "Every last one." My phone buzzed with a notification. A support group for romance scam victims had invited us to speak at their next meeting. "They want to know how we caught him," I said, showing Caitlin. "How we proved what he was doing." "We should do it," she replied immediately. "Help other victims build cases against their scammers." "It's not just about the money anymore, is it?" Michaela observed. Caitlin shook her head. "It never was. It's about justice. About showing these men they can't keep destroying lives without consequences." "Speaking of consequences," Marin interjected, "the first hearing is set for next week. Are you ready to testify?" "More than ready." Caitlin's voice was firm. "I want to look him in the eye when I tell my story. I want him to see exactly what he didn't break." A knock at the door made us all jump. Seth checked the security camera feed on his phone. "It's Rachel," he said. "With a camera crew." Already? I looked at Caitlin. We don't have to do this now. Yes, we do. She stood up, straightening her shoulders. Every minute we wait is another minute some other Thomas is out there, targeting another victim. Together, I asked, reaching for her hand. She squeezed back. Together. When we opened the door, Rachel looked nothing like the glamorous almost bride from the photos. She was professional, focused, and carried herself with the confidence of someone used to exposing hard truths. Ready to tell your story? She asked. Caitlin glanced around at our improvised war room. The evidence boards, the victim statements, the legal documents, and most importantly, the people who'd helped make justice possible. Actually, she said, we have a better idea. We don't want to just tell our story. We want to help others tell theirs. Show them how to fight back, how to win. Rachel's eyes lit up. That's exactly what I was hoping you'd say. Shall we begin? As the camera crew set up, I watched my sister transform once again. From victim to victor, from target to warrior. Thomas had tried to steal her dreams, but he'd given her a new purpose instead. Sometimes the best revenge isn't just getting even. It's helping others rise up too. The courthouse buzzed with tension as Thomas was led into the courtroom. He looked smaller somehow, his designer suit replaced by prison orange, his confident smile nowhere to be seen. All rise, the bailiff called out. Caitlin gripped my hand as we stood. The gallery behind us was packed with victims. Not just Thomas's, but others who'd come to support the cause. Rachel sat in the front row, her notebook ready. Prosecution may begin their opening statement, the judge announced. Marin rose, her heels clicking against the floor. Your Honor, this case is about more than just one man's crimes. It's about a systematic pattern of deception that targeted vulnerable women across multiple states and countries. As she laid out the evidence, I watched Thomas's face. He flinched each time she mentioned a specific victim, each time she quoted an exact dollar amount. By the time she finished, he was staring at his hands. The defense may present their case. Thomas's lawyer stood. Your Honor, my client acknowledges his actions, but wishes to cooperate fully. He has information about larger criminal networks involved in similar schemes. Objection, Marin cut in. The defendant's willingness to implicate others doesn't diminish his own culpability. Sustained, the judge ruled. When it was Caitlin's turn to testify, she walked to the stand with her head high. Thomas couldn't meet her eyes. Please state your name for the record. Caitlin Ross. Her voice was clear and strong. Though I'll be changing it back to Fowler as soon as possible. Tell us about your relationship with the defendant. Caitlin's testimony was devastating in its simplicity. She described their marriage, their struggles with infertility, his manipulation of both her and me. When she reached the part about discovering his theft, her voice didn't waver. And what was the total amount he stole from you and your sister? $120,000, Caitlin replied. Our entire savings, money that was meant for starting a family. Thomas shifted in his seat. His lawyer whispered something to him. But this isn't just about money, Caitlin continued. The defendant didn't just steal our savings. He stole trust, hope, dreams. And he did the same thing to at least 8 other women that we know of. The prosecution called more victims. Maria testified via video link from Mexico. Rachel presented her undercover recordings. Each story added another brick to the wall of evidence. During a brief recess, Seth showed us his phone. The hashtag Dover romance scam justice is trending. Women all over the world are sharing their stories. Good, Caitlin said firmly. That's exactly what we wanted. When court resumed, Thomas's lawyer announced that his client wished to change his plea to guilty on all counts. Very well, the judge said. Does the defendant wish to make a statement before sentencing? Thomas stood slowly. I'm sorry, I never meant... Objection. Marin interrupted. The defendant's bank records show systematic planning over several years. This was not a crime of impulse or necessity. Sustained, the judge ruled again. Mr. Ross, Do you have anything substantive to add? Thomas slumped back into his seat, shaking his head. The judge adjusted her glasses. Very well. Taking into account the severity of the crimes, the number of victims, and the international nature of this scheme, I sentence the defendant to 15 years in federal prison. Additionally, he is ordered to make full restitution to all victims, plus punitive damages. A murmur ran through the courtroom. 15 years. It felt both too much and not enough. Furthermore, the judge continued, I'm ordering the defendant to cooperate fully with ongoing investigations into related criminal networks. Failure to do so will result in additional charges. As Thomas was led away, Caitlin turned to me. It's really over. Not quite, Rachel said, approaching us. My story airs tonight. We're calling it Sisters of Justice, how two women exposed an international romance scam ring. But more importantly, we're launching a victim support network. What kind of network? I asked. Legal aid, emotional support, resources for building cases against scammers. Everything we wished we'd had when this started, Caitlin explained. Rachel and I have been planning it. Outside the courthouse, cameras flashed as victims hugged and celebrated. Mariah called from Mexico, crying happy tears. Michaela was already fielding calls from other women wanting to share their stories. Ready for the press conference? Seth asked. Caitlin straightened her jacket. Actually, I've been thinking, instead of just talking about what Thomas did, let's focus on what we're going to do, how we're going to help other victims become survivors, like you did, I said softly. She smiled, a real full smile that reached her eyes, like we did, together. As we walked toward the microphones, I realized something profound. Thomas hadn't just created victims, he'd accidentally created warriors, and we were just getting started. Welcome to the first annual Survivors Summit, Caitlin announced to the packed auditorium. When my sister and I started this journey, we never imagined we'd be standing here today. I watched from the wings as she commanded the stage, hardly believing this confident speaker was the same woman who'd collapsed in tears on my couch just months ago. Each of you has a story, she continued. Each of you has faced betrayal, felt shame, questioned your judgment. Today, we're going to change that narrative. The audience, mostly women, but some men too, leaned forward in their seats. Many were taking notes, others were nodding, tears in their eyes. June? Rachel touched my arm. You're up next. I joined Caitlin on stage as she introduced me. My sister taught me something important. She taught me that sometimes helping doesn't mean fixing everything yourself. Sometimes it means standing beside someone while they find their own strength. The presentation screen behind us displayed the numbers. Over 300 victims helped, 12 scammers arrested, millions in restitution secured. But the real victory was in the faces before us. People who'd found their voice, their power, their community. Maria appeared on the video screen, live from Mexico. Thanks to the network, we've identified 3 major romance scam operations in Latin America. 2 have already been shut down. Michaela took the podium next, explaining how to spot red flags and document evidence. Seth followed with a presentation on digital security. Maureen closed with updates on legislative efforts to increase penalties for romance fraud. During the break, a young woman approached us. I lost everything to a scammer last month, she said, wiping her eyes. I was too ashamed to tell anyone until I saw your story. What's your name? Caitlin asked gently. Sarah. Well, Sarah, look around this room. Every person here understands exactly what you're feeling. And every person here is proof that you can recover, rebuild, and come back stronger. But how? Sarah's voice cracked. He took my savings, my self-respect. Then let's get them back, I said, pulling out my phone. Marin has an opening tomorrow morning. Seth can start tracking the money trail. And Rachel's support group meets tonight. Sarah's eyes widened. Just like that? Just like that, Caitlin confirmed. Because that's what this network is about. No one fights alone anymore. After the summit, we gathered at my apartment. the same place where we'd first started piecing together Thomas's crimes. But now the evidence boards were replaced with success stories, the legal documents with thank you letters. "I have news," Caitlin announced, holding up her phone. "The fertility clinic called. My first IVF treatment is scheduled for next week." The room erupted in cheers. Michaela popped open champagne, while Rachel hugged Caitlin fiercely. "How are you feeling about it?" I asked softly. "Scared, excited, ready." She smiled. "And grateful for my real family. The one that stood by me, not the one that tried to destroy me." "Speaking of family," Marin called from the kitchen. "Tell them the other news." Caitlin blushed. "The publisher wants to turn our story into a book. Not just about Thomas, but about everything that came after, about building this network, helping other survivors, about two sisters who turned pain into purpose." Rachel added, "I'm helping write it." Seth raised his glass. "To the Sisters of Justice." "No," Caitlin corrected, reaching for my hand. "To all of us. Every survivor, every helper, every person who refuses to let the Thomases of the world win." "To justice," I agreed, squeezing her hand. Later, as our friends chatted and planned future summits, Caitlin pulled me aside. "Remember when you tried to fix everything by writing that check?" she asked. I winced. Not my finest moment. Actually, it was, because that mistake led me here. She gestured around the room. "I needed to learn to fight my own battles, but I also needed to know you had my back while I learned." "I'll always have your back," I promised. "I know, and now we have hundreds of people's backs, thousands, maybe." She touched her stomach gently. "When this baby comes, they'll be born into a family of warriors." The doorbell rang. More survivors, arriving for the evening support session. As Caitlin moved to welcome them, I watched her embrace each person, listened as she asked their names, their stories. Thomas had tried to steal her dreams, but he'd given her a bigger one instead. He'd wanted to break her spirit, but he'd helped her find her purpose. In trying to tear apart two sisters, he'd created a sisterhood of survivors that stretched across continents. Sometimes the best revenge isn't just winning the battle, it's changing the whole war, and we were just getting started.